everyone, I'm Jeff Whelan, the host of the WB Download, and I want to invite you and welcome you to our podcast. My brother and I own and operate Whelan Builders. It's a custom home building company here in Southwest Ohio. The WB Download mostly focuses on interviewing folks associated with custom building. We stray now and then to interview people who I think are interesting and to break up the monotony of the same old podcast. I also like to highlight things that are going on in my everyday life along with our businesses. I started this podcast to help people understand the custom builder world, but to also give people a chance to hear what others have to say and highlight their expertise and experiences in life. We drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with a new topic and or guest each time. I hope you join us here on the WB Download and enjoy listening and hearing stories of people in and out of the custom builder world. Welcome to the WB Download. Hello. Welcome once again, everybody, to the WB Download. Today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. Welcome to the WB Download, man. Hey, middle of summer here, and on the show today we have two of my favorite people, Corey and Jimmy Vallandingham, and these two people are our interior trim suppliers. And I've known them for a while, been around them for a while, but we just started getting back together and doing some business again about last year, and it's been a relief. It's been a pleasure. When I think of these two cats, I think about passion, accuracy, knowledge, care, hustle, and that's the way they won our business, was because they do a great job. But the person we had doing this stuff before had none of that stuff, and maybe knowledge, but all the rest of it was gone. Inaccuracies. I mean, it was horrible, but we kept on going because thinking that this is what we had to deal with. Well, then when Alicia and Corey get together and start working together, and Corey is just on top of it, she's super excited about everything, passionate, just working like crazy to get us answers. It all lines up. So we're going to talk about that today. But you know what surprised me most about this podcast is we're going to get into with Jimmy talking about some music and talking about some different things. Very interesting people, which again is why they are on the WB Download. But why they are on Whelan Builders team is because of all the things I mentioned before. They are complete nerds about interior trim, and that's what we want. And I like these guys. So I am excited for you guys to be able to tune in here. I was excited to have them here on the show. And I was excited about the way that it took a turn to go and start talking about other things. So interesting to hear people's stories. So what we've got going on around here, just give you a Homerama update. We've been finishing hardwood all last week, and which worked out good for me because I'm going to talk about this here in a second about my family being at the county fair. But we also put in landscaping and was finishing up the deck, and we are laying sod yesterday and today. Went through the irrigation system last week too. So there's a lot of stuff going on. We are in the final days of leading up to the show on this thing, and so it's coming together, and I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. I mean, I'm never really positive about how people's selections and decisions and things are going to go until we get them all put together and they get installed, and it all starts coming together, and super unique and awesome house. So I'm excited for everybody to be able to see it. For the last week anyway, my family and I have been at the Warren County Fair. Every year you hear me talking about this because it's something that's super important to us. It's important to me. And number one is it's important to me because it brings our family together. We've started this journey for this July fair back in August of 2025, and where we start shopping for animals. I know we have a farm. You may not understand that. We have a farm, but these two steers that we want to show for the kids have to be something specific that we do not raise on our farm yet. We're hoping to someday, but so we go out and we sort, which means we're looking through different herds of cattle all across Indiana, Ohio, and then this year we're going to be looking out towards Iowa and Illinois for a couple of them. But it's a very unique process, very important process, and it's a lot of time spent together with our family. Doing shopping, to working in the barns, to getting everybody ready, to showing from December through July, going to different shows all over the place with these animals, and just spending all the time down in the barn. I say it all the time when I'm leaving the barn. If I'd have known that we were going to spend this much time in that barn, I probably would have made a few adjustments to it. But it's in the wintertime calving, and you guys heard me talk about that, spending all the time down there while we were having babies, and we had heaters going because it was sub-zero temperatures. Both of our calving sessions back then, and then from then, we're rinsing and washing cattle, and just all the time, a lot of free time that we put into it, and it's paid off. So both of our steers came around and they did really well. The kids cleaned up this week, and this is all them. This is their hard work, and that's the other thing that this comes to is I see a lot of people where they're bragging about their kids, whatever sport they're playing and whatever they're doing, and thinking that they're going to the NCAA in third grade, but and you got my kids here are learning hard work, they're learning respect, they're learning relationships, they're learning to win, to lose, they're learning all these different things, being around these animals, they're learning how to care for something other than themselves, which is really important. So this last week, they do these books where they have to keep records all year long on the animals, and they have to learn how to administer drugs and what the labels on the drugs mean if they get sick or if they're vaccinating them for something, daily rate of gain, feed supplements, all these different things. So you have to really study that stuff and get into it. So they did that, and both of them, Cody won first place out of all the beef kids in his category for his book, and Raina won fourth place for that. And then also they both won. Cody won first place in showmanship in his class, and Raina won second place for showmanship in her class with her steer. And then we had we took 9 head of cattle to the county fair and 2 rabbits, and we had 3. So we had 5 of our own calves that came from our own farm up there, because we had 2 other families, 4 kids, 3 in one family, 1 in another family, that wanted to show an animal, a steer. So we put together these feeder calves, is what they call them, which is a lightweight young animal, and then they can go and show them. So we took them up there, and out of those guys, we had a first, second, and a third, which was really cool because I wasn't expecting that. I thought they were just going to go in there and show just to get experience under their belt. So then for the big show for the steers, the one that we work all year long on is so Raina finished second in her class. We really thought she should have won it, but it was so close on the judging that it's okay. I mean, she won second in her class. Cody got fourth in his class with his steer. We thought that he should have gotten second or third, but he got fourth. He wasn't excited about that. But Raina, being second in her class to the other steer, she ended up going into what we call the final drive, which means you're a contender for the big deal, for the big show. And I just am amazed by both of these kids all week long, being able to do the great things that they've done. And those are just the payoffs. But the amazement comes from their determination, their drive, and their just accountability for everything that they're doing, and making friends and building relationships. This is something. Every chance that you hear me say this all the time, every chance you get to spend time with your family, to show these kids how much you love them and how much you respect them, and how much you're going to let them learn for themselves, and just doing things together is something that I strive for, and that's what we get out of our farm. I'm grateful that from a young age, I've always had this super interest in animals that came from my dad having horses, growing up out in Ross, growing up out in the country, and then I had of course my mom and dad. I had my FFA teacher in high school. Grateful that Ross High School has an FFA in their school. I didn't have to go out of the school to go somewhere else to get it. Roger Imes was my FFA teacher who got me started into showing sheep and then showing cattle at the fair. And I'm grateful for Sue Hanghold, who always had cattle. Her family always got me into a position where I started doing more and more with cattle, and then and Myron Bowling as well. And then the decision that I made to leave Northern Kentucky University after being there for a year and going to Ohio State, the agricultural school up in Worcester, was the one of the single greatest decisions in my life, and because it changed my life and it put me on a track. It got me more into this, to where I got a degree in construction and animal science for what we're doing today. And these are things that I look back on when I think about the county fair and how I ended up here, and the people who have thought I was nuts, and the people who still think I'm nuts for doing this. And so I'm grateful for all of the different things that have gotten me to this spot, to spend time with my kids and my wife and my family, and making new friends, and spending time with old friends. Even at the fair, both the people that we're building the houses for over in Liberty Township, and the other people that are Homerama customers, they came to the fair to see our kids showing twice. And I was I'm just sitting, I don't know, I was standing there beside myself, just couldn't believe that they came out and did that. So that was really cool. People see it, and it's just, I'll quit going on and on about this, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows how I think I'm exhausted right now. And so I'm rambling, but it's about family. It's not just about the animals. It's about the family. And when we get a chance to succeed, like we did this last week, it puts a lot of drive into us. So I'm grateful for it. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you to some great people. They are our interior trim suppliers, which is all of your interior doors, casing, crown molding, baseboard, all those kind of things, all the interior woodworking. They are our suppliers for this, and they are awesome at it. It's Corey and Jimmy Vallandingham here on the WB Download. Once again, welcome to the WB Download. Today, our guest is none other than Corey and Jimmy Vallandingham. You guys are freelance interior trim sales people. You just run around the country selling interior trim to whoever will buy it. Is that the way it goes?
Pretty much.
So you guys are a husband and wife team.
We are.
And so why don't you give us your background of where you started at? Because I'm interested to know how you got into the inside trim business, where you started at, how'd you end up here? And we got a whole day of just listening and talking to each other, so we can just do whatever we want.
Well, I started off as a box truck driver for a trim company, manufacturer. And after about a year, I was, getting frustrated. It wasn't very stimulating. But they asked me, would you like to be a salesman? I said, I'd love to. So that was 30 years ago.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. And so how long have you guys been married?
29 years.
Yeah.
29 years in September.
Man.
Yeah.
Things were going good for you back then, Jimmy. I mean, you went from truck driver to salesperson, married this beautiful woman, and now here you are.
Well, he was a long-haired musician.
Were you really?
Met him, so
what did you play?
I was a singer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you play instruments, though, or you
sing
just sing?
and play harmonica.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, I've always been enamored with people who can play an instrument, because I think it's a gift. It's not like, I don't know. Do you feel like you could just go and pick up something and learn how to play it?
Harmonica I did, but I was lucky. I had a friend in Louisville who was an incredible harmonica player, and I hung out with him a lot.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot. Guitar, I can play acoustic guitar, but I have to work at it.
Yeah. So do you have like one of them neck brace things where you could just play the harmonica and sing the whole time?
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I'm more of a blues harp player.
Or do you still follow music? Are you into it?
Yes, I'm into it. I don't play often anymore. My hearing is so bad. It's just not worth damaging it anymore. But I do. I listen to music all day long.
Corey, I know that you're still sitting here. Me and Jimmy are into this conversation.
I know.
We just want you to break in at any minute. But Shannon and I were just up in Cleveland for an Indians game, and we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Have you ever been there?
Never.
It's really cool, really interesting. I do not see the correlation of how they inducted people, who is rock and roll and who's not. Like they have Cyndi Lauper in there, who was one of the greatest musicians ever, but it's like they have a dress of hers or something.
Yeah.
And it's like a normal set of clothes. She was always like funky wicked, and it's like a normal set of clothes. And then you can see like Elvis and those guys were the first ones in, but then it's like 10 years later, and you see some of the people who were inducted, and you're like, what the hell were you waiting on? Why was it 10 years before they got in?
There's still some more of us that haven't gotten in. They should have gotten in before other people.
Yeah. We watch that ceremony every year. It's seriously a big deal in our house. We love it. But there are some people where like they're in before, like, it's funny. because we love 80s music. We came and saw Styx play up here
Yeah.
2 years in a row and loved it, and then started looking into it. It's like, how's Styx not in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
Like, and then there'll be some weird, somebody off that you think, why in the world would they be?
But now do they have a songwriters Hall of Fame instead of them being in a rock and roll? Because I would have thought that they would have, and this is me, and so they're not going to take advice from some hillbilly down here in Cincinnati. But I'm like, why wouldn't you have it in like stages? There's 6 floors of this thing. But probably, okay, moving on. The coolest thing about this whole thing is like on the second or third floor, they have a karaoke section, and they have a real live band where these people are sitting in there. They have a drummer, they have an electric guitar, and they have a bass guitar, and then they have a dude playing the piano, and they'll play whatever song you want to play, and then you can sing standing there with them. And there was a dude in there singing, what's that song, Last Chance for Mary Jane? I can't remember what the name of that
Tom
song.
Petty song.
Yeah, Tom Petty song. And the dude was singing it, and it was and it's so loud, but it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's our next vacation spot.
Yeah.
When we went on our honeymoon, we went to New Orleans, and we were down there, and Jimmy was, I don't know, in the bathroom or whatever, and I went up to the band and said, I'm on my honeymoon. My husband's the best singer in Louisville, Kentucky. The guy's like, no, he's not. This is not karaoke night. I'm like, I swear it is. I swear it's not karaoke night, but I swear he is. And I gave him like $20. I'm like, just let him sing one song. And he got up there, and the whole place went nuts. He
That's
sang
awesome.
a Jimi Hendrix song and killed it.
That's
it was
cool.
awesome.
I told her that's the first time I've ever had to pay to play.
I paid.
We were down at the Builder Show one time down in Orlando, and we were in a bar, and there was this band singing, and these guys they weren't heckling them, but they were just kind of giving them some shit, and one of the guys must have said, hey, you think you could do it better? Well, the dude's like this really awesome singer. He comes up out of the crowd, and he gets up there and he starts singing, and he goes to town on this song, and he's playing a guitar, and he's better than the rest of the band. Well, they're like, as soon as the song was over, they're like, hey, good job, man. Get out of here.
Yeah.
We don't want you showing us up.
They never expected that. That's awesome.
So, well, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate
Thanks for having
it.
us.
Thanks for, one of the things that I'll tell you that, that keeps you guys going here is that we had this conversation at our breakfast. Your ability to care, you're fired up, you're on it, you're answering questions, and so many things that happen in all of our jobs that we do around here. You can't just do your job. You can't just come in and sell us boards, right? Sell us doors. There's so much more to it, but you have to be enthusiastic about it. You have to love what you do, and you have to answer questions. You have to estimate. You have to do all these things. You have to be exact. And it's been such a blessing to have you guys here, and we're so grateful for it. But I'd say that's one of the many things that keeps you going. So when we talk about what you do in inside trim, what are the highlights of your job? Is it sexy? I mean, is it fun? Is it groovy? Or are you like, I gotta sell another door today?
Oh no. We love dealing with people.
Yeah.
We love dealing with homeowners and the builders and the trim carpenters. We're just
we love
social,
what we do.
So we love
and
it.
we don't turn it off. I really don't turn it off. Jimmy's better at it, I guess, because he's been doing it longer. I've been doing it, this particular job, for 8 years. He's 30 in. But, one of the things I always say for you, like, you're a custom home builder. I tell people, like, that house, it's your baby, right? I mean, you have created it, you're nurturing it, you're going to let it grow up and then hand it off to that homeowner. For you to trust me to be a part of that process, to help raise your baby, that is the biggest compliment to me. And I don't take that lightly. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I feed and nurture your baby the way that you expect me to.
Well, you guys are also in the beginning stages of what it appears for everybody that loves all that stuff. I mean, when I always tell people, I get giddy and excited about the things that nobody cares about. This is like the hardcore thought process of placing the house and the foundation and all the steel and all these things that are hidden in the walls that people are just like, they just assume that we're going to do.
Right.
But then when you get into the flooring and then starts that paint process and then that inside trim process, now the people, it changes their whole thought process about the build. Now they've probably been a little bit down in the dumps leading up to this point because it's just a different process leading in, and then all this stuff starts coming to life and they're like, hey,
right,
how's
starts
it
to look
going?
pretty.
Yeah, we're back.
I tell them all the time, now things are moving.
Yeah.
I said, you haven't seen much going on, but there is a lot going on. Like you said, behind the walls, they don't But once you see the picture, once you see doors going in, trim going up, stairways being built, or just even drywall being installed, completely changes everything. And I'm like, now things are getting ready to take off.
It's for a builder, for me to get to the inside trim phase, I'm like, oh, thank God we're here finally.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing it because now you're inside. You got the heat on, you got the air conditioning on, and it's a little bit nicer. I felt like that about the landscape time too. Because now the outside of the house is changing. You guys are changing the inside of the house.
Yeah.
So Corey, what did you do before? I mean, you said you were 8 years into this with Jimmy, but what did you do before that?
Well, I wasn't a rock star. It's funny.
Boring.
I know my journey's very boring, but my very first real job, I worked for a big developer and builder in Louisville. And at that point I was in a support, position, but I loved it. I don't know. There's something exciting about it that I saw. And then I got into sales and I sold a lot of different things. But my last job before I came here, I was actually doing commercial blueprints for tile and countertops. And Jimmy always knew I would love to get back into the custom home side. So he just came up with a great idea. Why don't you become my partner and let's do this together?
Well, there's no other women doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Not
super
really.
important.
A smart, good-looking woman doing this.
Well, I don't know.
It's got to be a bonus.
I got one of the three. I'm a woman, but listen, I try really hard. I always say I'm not the smartest person, but I feel like I'm one of the most resourceful. I always try to find a solution, even though it might not be the smartest one. It's the best one. I don't know. But, the first 6 months that we did this, I literally drove around in his truck and listened. I mean, I was just a sponge. There are so many components. There's just so many details when it comes to trim. People they don't think about it, but you figure trim's in every part of your house. There's so many different parts of the trim package. I had so much to learn. I still learn something new every single day. And actually, he says
So do
he
I.
does too. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I do
a
too.
lot.
I do too. I was at Raina, my daughter's career day a couple weeks ago, and the kids are one of the questions they always ask is, "Do you need an education to be able to do what you do?" And I'm like, "No, you don't need an education to do what I do, but you have to learn something every single day, every single minute." And if you think you're gonna, there's a certain level of education, I guess, is probably what they meant. Do you need to go to college is what they want, and I'm like, you don't have to go to college to do this, but you have to care, you have to have heart, you have to have passion, but then you also have to learn, how are you going to run this business if you didn't go somewhere to figure that out? And how are you going to continue to learn about new products and learn about other things that are happening all the time? And yes, you're always learning. And
you have to be able to deal with people.
Oh,
Yeah.
No matter what you're dealing with, you have to be able to. And sometimes it's hard.
Most difficult
Sometimes
part.
it's really easy.
Most difficult part. It's the greatest and most difficult part of all of our jobs. And I would say that's true with no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing. And I think that's true for our job. We get to meet some of the coolest people, whether we're working together or whether we're working for them, whatever they do, they're just really neat and interesting. And then you get to meet some of the most difficult people.
Right.
And it's the same way.
Yeah.
If you get carpenters, you get foundation guys, you get excavators, people who are just naturally grumpy.
Yes.
They've struggled to get to this point in their life.
You can't take it personally.
You get customers who are just, you do that interview with them, no matter how hard you vet them and think that you're going to have a great relationship, something turns and twists, you just never know. That's the most difficult part. I think if anybody's going to be in business today, you should have a skill, but you should also have a psychology degree to figure out how to learn to deal with people.
Well, here's the good thing. Like in your situation, you've got you and your brother, right? In our situation, we've got us. And I'm sure you all have, different personalities. We're a lot the same in some ways, but we're a lot different in others. And there's certain people in certain situations. Jimmy's the better, person to deal with it. I might be, you might be, Mike might be. At least we have options.
That's for sure. Yeah. You always need a team. I think, of course, the Bible says you ain't supposed to do this stuff alone by any means, but you always should have a team just because more is better, and if you try and run a dictatorship, you think you're going to do it all on your own. I think you're going to struggle.
Before she started, I had no one to run things past. And now that she knows, she knows this business, I can go, first thing I do is I go to her, what do you think about this? And she's only been doing it 8 years.
Yeah.
But that's more on the communication side, though. I go to him because I say he's the trim encyclopedia. But when it comes to communication, it's funny. We do it to each other because I am too long-winded. You already know this. I talk too much. My texts are too long. He always says too many words. But sometimes his is the opposite. If he's communicating, especially with a homeowner, sometimes it can come off curt. I'm like, no, you need to flower it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Be a little nicer. I mean,
if you're too short, they think you're being mean.
Yeah.
Really, all you're doing is just giving them the answer.
Right. But I think we balance each other out well with that. So
that's good. So how is it? I mean, it's one of the probably most difficult things in the world you could do is work with your spouse. And that's and some people, my mom and dad did it their whole lives.
Yeah.
But my mom is built specifically to handle difficult people. I think she's the sweetest lady in the world.
Aww.
So how do you guys manage that?
Well, it's funny you say that because, man, I could never work with my wife. That's what everybody said. I'm like, yeah, but she's my best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
If you see us driving around in our truck, we're probably both mouths wide open laughing half the time. I mean,
that's great.
We have a great time together.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't difficult, but there are times where we get on each other's nerves. I mean,
well, because we're with each other 24/7. It's not like I'm off doing my job. She's off doing her job. We're with each other pretty much 24/7. And like she said, I can turn it off and shut it down. Whereas she's so excited.
Right.
Every once in a while, I have to say, it's time. Yeah.
Is it a knob? Is there a knob on there?
Just
turn it.
I took an energy drink away from her the other day. I'm like,
yesterday morning, I had an Alani and we sat down to breakfast. He goes, you cannot have one of these before we go to Jeff's podcast tomorrow. It's very true.
I could just ask you a question and then me and Jimmy could just sit over here and be like, hey, here we go.
Go out in the parking lot, have a couple beers, come back, and still be talking.
So now the reason why we're here is to talk about Inside Trim. We're here to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You tell me. I mean, do you think Robert Plant was a Christian? Do you think he was?
Yeah, I do.
He's read all the books, haven't you?
Yeah.
I ask everybody that, and everybody goes, "Huh?" And especially if you just throw it out there at the wrong time.
Oh yeah, no, I think he was.
Yeah, so the funniest thing is, I asked one of my pastors about it at church, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And I'm like, "It's the Stairway to Heaven, man." Yeah, I mean,
I thought you've only read 5 books in your life.
I've only read 2, I think, 2 or 3, I think.
One was the Home Depot book, and one was the Robert Plant book.
I didn't read the Robert Plant book. I was in the Bible. It talks about the Stairway to Heaven, and then there's also there's a Highway to Hell. AC/DC. Right. There's all sorts of different things like that. But the guy who wrote Stairway to Heaven was Robert Plant. So I'm like, well, these guys that all this rock and roll music, if you really start to read the lyrics and you listen to it, it's got a lot of different messages in it. So I'm like, where does this come from? And these dudes, you think about old rock and roll, they're doing drugs and they're just running around on the road and women and all kinds of crazy stuff. But there had to have been some sort of inkling of Christianity in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So that's why. So I always ask people that question. They're like, they look at me just like you did. You're like, what?
Jimmy,
and then you're like, oh yeah,
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. But Jimmy has a real answer. Like he's researched
you
this.
know the answer. So I finally found somebody who knows the answer. Man,
what did Robert tell you when you all talked the other day? Did you?
He said, "Stop calling me.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone." That's good. So really, let's talk about Inside Trim.
Okay.
And so when we think about Inside Trim, I think about base casing doors.
Right.
You guys see it a different way. You guys offer a number of different reasons why we should buy material from you. What's the difference? You tell me. Well, is it the trim? Is it the product itself? Is it you? I know the answer to this, just so you know. But I'm talking about the thousands and thousands of people who are listening to us.
Well, I think the real answer is us, because we know what we're doing. This is all we do. So we can answer pretty much any question you have, and we can get you anything you want. But there are levels of trim that matter.
Yeah.
Based on what you're building.
Right. And we try to keep that in mind when, we're deciding or suggesting what material to use. Some things are more price conscious, some things are higher end, and there's some things in the middle. And it's funny, you all have a design process where you've got Kelly who comes in, you're inside designer, and she works with people, which is cool. But a lot of times if we have a conversation with a homeowner, I always say I'm like champagne taste on a beer budget, and we've built a house before. We know you can blow your budget. I always try to find the most cost-effective way to get you that end result. So, there's There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I think having all the resources we do, along with the knowledge and the fact that we care so much, that kind of makes it the total package.
Well, it's all we think about.
Yeah.
That is all we do.
really
your lumber salesman.
What we want. That's what I want. I want you to. That's what I want you to be thinking
Your
about.
lumber salesman shouldn't be your trim salesman.
Right.
He needs to stick to sitting at the desk and
we've run into that, though,
that.
where we see that. Kind of like you talk about, the difference between the builder that, the hush puppy that sits in his car.
Listen to you. You've been listening, man. All right.
I've been doing my research.
It's the difference between being a builder and owning a building company.
Yes. And we feel that way about, you can't be a jack of all trades in this. I mean, you can in the sense that you're kind of the jack of all trades. You're the builder. But for the suppliers, we need to specialize in one trade, do it really, really well. And, we don't need to cross over because I'm not going to tell you what you need for your lumber package just the same way he's not going to tell you what you need for your trim package.
I'll tell you, I don't care what it is. If you're doing it, you need to be geeked out on it. You need to be nerded out on it completely and fall in love with it.
Right.
I was at AE Door used to do this Bengals online thing. They sponsored it at Rick's Tavern, and this is this long story, but it has nothing to do with anything. So
good.
I'm just going to start.
I like
it. And there was a guy there who he was going up to talk to Dave Lappin and those guys on air, and he had this. Some kind of Super Bowl something or another, and he collected this stuff, and I'm like, this dude is a complete tool bag. I mean, I just can't believe that this is what he does. I mean, he's like here and he's just nerded out about it. And one of the guys that I was sitting with said, "Man, I wish I had passion for something like that." And it just hit me, like just sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, who am I to judge? I mean, maybe, and then I started thinking about it. Where's my passion at? And this is like, after probably 10 beers or something like that. And then you start thinking about this, but I'm
deep.
like, yeah, I mean, you start getting deeper and deeper. And then I've always, and that was years and years and years ago. And I've always reflected back on that. It doesn't matter what it is. If you've got the heart and the passion for it, then you're going to excel at it. And that's great that you are interested in something like that. I mean,
that's all that matters.
But really with you guys, I mean, if you listen to the podcast with Trent from the heating and air conditioning company and Brad from the energy companies, I mean, just everybody, you've got to love it.
Yes.
And you got to be digging in so deep with it to get excited about it.
Right.
And to, if something goes wrong, if you don't care, you're probably not going to try to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We actually thrive on that. If something
I've lost sleep over a tiny detail. We've had one time we were on vacation and had a back band emergency. Do you remember that? I mean, a lady called us. She was so upset she didn't like her back band, and it was snowing here, so there was nothing we could have done about it if we were here. But we were on vacation, and I'm like on the phone trying to find on the internet but like the world stops over this stuff. And I know it does sound crazy, but to us, again, it's part of the big picture. It's part of that baby's upbringing. We got to make sure it's right.
Yeah. And you started down another path there when you started talking about back bands and you started talking about the different knives and the cuts and all the different things. That's a part of your thought process and a part of your industry that you have to know. You have to have access to it, but you also. Do you ever get into a position where you're afraid to mention something? Because I feel like sometimes people are like that. As a salesperson, you walk this line where you can't vary left and right of it very much because you're there to represent, you're there to provide an estimate, you're there to provide a lot of different things. But if you offer up too many suggestions,
Pandora's
somebody's
box.
going to get mad.
Well,
or somebody's going to be like, "Why didn't you?" And they look at the builder, "Why didn't you tell me that?" And
well, plus you're trying to stay in budget because usually when you're meeting with these people, the budget's already set.
Yeah.
Based on whatever.
Yeah.
So you probably want to make sure that whatever you're presenting to these people is going to be within budget. Now, we always tell them, if you have any crazy notions, let me know. It's something we'll have to, get priced out and, see if it's worth it. But then I'll try to talk people out of doing things like put in a glass door in a hallway back by the mudroom. It's like, why do you want to spend that money on that?
Yeah.
No one's ever going to see it. You'll never get it back.
Right.
So, we kind of have to
we try to guide,
maneuver them, but keep them in budget.
I know what you're saying because we have had that situation where it's funny, like we'll meet with somebody, they'll present, I don't want to do this, or this. And then we'll go back and talk about it. And we will say, oh God, though, if you offer that, then it could lead to this and this, then that could stress them. So there are times where we're like, no, we don't even need to go down that road because
But you can read people when they come in.
Yeah.
You can read the homeowners when they come in. You can, literally the second they walk in, you know if it's going to be a good meeting or a bad meeting.
Right.
And they all want to stay on budget.
Yeah.
So
well, and a lot of them are in a cost plus situation, so
Right.
they don't per se have a budget, but you still know, what their parameters are, really what they're looking.
as long as you're
for.
honest
So,
with them.
Yes.
I think that people find it's value. So their budget is a number because, Bob said this the other day out at Homerama. We were talking to the landscaper and he said, well, what's your allowance? And Bob goes, oh, I hate that term. He goes, he goes, I look at an allowance like that's the basis for my desire.
Yeah.
And so, and he said something else about it. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have wrote that down. But it's budget is one thing, but these people want what they want.
Right.
And they are building a custom house and it costs money. And they're all, for the most part, our customers know this. They know it's a pay to play.
Yeah.
But what they do not want is for us to cut corners or not offer something or not, if we think it's really cool, I can present it to them. We're all adults. They can say no.
Right.
And they can understand that. But I think that the key is just making sure that it's valued to them.
Right.
You don't want to be like selling them gold inlaid baseboard and you're like, this is cool.
Right.
And it's not.
Let's upsell them.
Right.
I'll
I always talk to them about resale. If you're ever going to resell this house, you'll never get that money back.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And some things are important, though. At Homerama, you've got that music room. That is very special to those people. I mean, they're not concerned on that part about the resale. This is their forever house. Those are important details that they want no matter what.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of peel back the layers and find out what's important, what's not. I think when we very first started looking at that project, they actually talked about white oak everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Trim, door, because I remember
Everything.
I reached out to you and Alicia and I'm like, are you sure these people, I'm like, it's going to be astronomical. And I told Alicia, I said, I guarantee you that we just do the doors in white. And sure enough, that's because we've been down that path. We know how that is. But, and that's okay. Like the whole house doesn't need to be white oak. It might have been too much. Like having the doors and the beams and the crown and the music room, that's going to set off those important areas
they're gonna
to
pop.
stand out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, instead of everything being the same.
And they saved money, and I think it's going to look even better than it did if it were all stained, honestly.
Right. I mean, that's a whole aspect. That I'll tell you, honestly, that piano room has got more detail than what I've dealt with. I mean, there's different aspects of different houses of different details that I've dealt with. When you get into the Hillside District down there and we're building these walls, I mean, with all this steel and all this different footers and all these different things, that's crazy level of detail.
Yeah.
And then you get into other things that we've done that are, LEED platinum certified things, that's detail. But that piano room, man, I mean, that's stuff that we've worked with those guys over in Indiana. These details of every little page and all these different it's not. Everybody's talking about soundproof. That's not the key to this room. It's the acoustics of what we're talking about in this room.
They've got fabric panels and
insulation.
I sat in a little bit of that meeting, and I was like, "This is beyond my pay grade.
Yeah.
I understand the trim part. I don't nothing else. I understand this is Greek to me."
One of the crazy things is we keep referring to the crown in that room, and the crown is not a beveled crown that goes in between, that covers the corner. It's a crown that's a flat piece that goes straight up and down, and everybody keeps referring to that crown, and everybody's like walking around, well, where's this crown at? And I'm like, it's right there. It's flat. You've never seen it before. But right now you can tell the difference when you're standing in a foyer and you're talking and you walk into that room, and we haven't even we're setting the doors today as we speak. You walk into that room and you can tell such a difference about how that sound is. And I'm not one to talk about sound or what quality whatsoever, but I mean, you can really tell the difference.
So during Homerama, are you going to have like someone in there playing piano?
Yeah, she's got concerts going on like almost every single day in there.
That's awesome.
And then Alicia's doing this whole thing with pictures, because it's no way you can explain to people the amount of effort and detail and design that we put into this thing.
Yeah.
I can explain the cost to them and just say, hey, look, you wouldn't believe what this all took to put together, but the details and the things that are happening, and then just the difference between stepping in and out of that room is just so wicked. But yeah, she's playing piano in there.
I feel like, that's so amazing. It's funny, when I was there the other day with Jay, the trim carpenter, I said that to him. I said, do you think they're going to have somebody in here they're playing. He's like, no, really? I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the only way you're going to get the full experience of it.
Yeah.
So that's so cool. You're going to do that.
Yeah, that leads us to another discussion. I know we were talking about something else, and I'm just going to keep jumping around because
That's
I feel
fine.
like
we keep coming back to music, rock and roll.
we do keep coming
Yeah.
back to music. Now I feel
That's
like
the
we're
theme.
onto something. I've got a couple more questions for you. I'm going to get there. So when you read lyrics, I mean, I think that is one of the craziest things in the world. One of the coolest songs is now I'm going to forget it, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, this is the coolest song. I'll think of it in a minute. But you listen to the lyrics of it, and gosh, I'll have to look it up and tell you. But sorry, I just dropped my iPad. And when you look at this stuff, think about how creative those dudes were writing this stuff. What are they just artistic, or are they just in a certain point of their life where they can be like, this is something that was going on, or I guess you listen to some other people and they just sit down and write some stuff.
Well, you're exactly right. I'm not a songwriter.
Yeah.
But I'm a singer, which is kind of odd. I do listen to lyrics, but I'm more of a melody guy. But the guys I've been in bands with, the songwriters, they're artistic. They're artistic, and they have to get it out. And the only way they can get it out is to write it down.
Who's your Cheap Trick, The Flame? Have you ever listened or looked at the lyrics of that song?
Yeah. If I could sing, I would sing it for you. The Flame. It was in like late 80s song.
I will be the
There you
flame.
go.
You were the first.
Yeah.
You were the first. You would, or you won't be the last, or you were the last. You
The
won't
slow song.
Yes.
It's like I think it's a love song, right? I mean, it's a love story.
Yeah.
And I looked up the lyrics of it one day, and then my wife saw what I Googled on there, and she's like, what are you doing here? Like, what do you got going on? And she's like mad at me, and I'm like, I've always loved this song. And then I looked at the lyrics, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, this is something that Howard Stern would get pretty excited about. Thinking about the lyrics of that song, the veil across your heart. I mean, that's like stuff that I'm like, man, where'd you come up with that stuff? That's so cool.
Anyway,
who's your favorite all-time singer ever?
All-time
band singer.
Well, I'd say my favorite artist all-time probably Stevie Ray Vaughan, just because he's just a legend.
But Robert Plant's probably
Robert Plant
your
is one of my
funny
favorite
thing.
singers.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So I hit a button with you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I've got a lot. It's
Good.
a hard question to answer because there's so many of them. But I mean, Robert Plant was probably my favorite. You know, I was my first band we did a bunch of Led Zeppelin songs.
That's cool
because we loved them.
I'm always trying to teach I don't know shit about music, but I'm a fan, and I'm always trying to teach my kids to appreciate it all the time. And like
we did that with our daughter.
Yeah.
We played all the old stuff, The Who, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Led Zeppelin, AC. We played all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she still listens to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm more like Billy Joel and Steven Tyler and some of those guys. Man, I mean, I'm just like, those guys are amazing. What they've done and the thoughts and the way to put things together is so cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah.
And you think about when they have multiple albums, multiple hits. One of the things that brings that to light, and I know we're not talking about Inside Trim.
That's okay.
But like if you have Sirius XM and you can see on the radio what year it was made and who sings it, I always think that somebody else sang it, or I'm like somebody else, whatever song it is, then you see how many one-hit wonders there were. Yeah. And maybe they made an album, but you never heard of any of the other stuff that they did. But then when you see somebody like Taylor Swift or Billy Joel or Elvis or George Strait, these guys are amazing.
Oh my gosh.
They're not only billionaires, they're amazing.
They are.
Yeah.
So
because they do it all.
Yeah.
Those are real artists.
Yes. They keep it going.
Now in country and even in, I think, pop music today, there's a lot of different songwriters involved in every single song.
Yeah.
Sometimes artists can do a whole album, not have written one single song.
Right.
Yeah.
But back in the day when we were coming up, it was, you have to be a songwriter or you have to play original music. You have to do that. And there were so many people back then, like you said, they always talk about the sophomore jinx, with new artists coming up back then. Man, all the people we loved, they were on like their fifth and sixth albums.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they were still writing their own music.
Yeah. I think that's where probably that's got to be one of the least egotistical jobs in the world, is being a songwriter, because you are the one who created it.
Yeah.
And then you hand it off to somebody else and they take all the credit for it.
Yeah.
It's like
but
being
you're
in
making
NASCAR.
all the money on it.
It's like being in NASCAR.
Thing.
Like the driver gets all the credit, but everybody else is the one that put that deal together.
Sure.
Yeah, but that rider's making that jack.
Right.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I always think that I could be that creative, and then I get like 3 words in, and I'm like, that's all I got.
I'm stumped. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're writing down lyrics from 4 other songs.
Yeah,
you just
right.
heard.
Yeah. People are like, what is wrong with you? Don't talk anymore. So you made a good point, Corey, a minute ago. You were talking to Jay, and I talk about this with my lumber sales, my rough lumber people. You've got to trust your carpenters, right? I mean, you've got to know who you're dealing with out there on the job. And this is what just prior to working with you, I think we had this issue quite a bit, and so you could be continually sending trim material out there. They're standing on top of it, smoking cigarettes, going, "We ain't got it," but it's sitting right there.
I have a story with that, not one of yours, but that literally did. I don't have any 1x10. I'm like, I took it out there myself,
Right.
and then I'm standing on top of it.
They damage it. They cut it wrong. They screw something up. They're throwing things into the trash. I mean, it's always I think what happens a lot of times is that it's disappearing.
Yes.
And so you really have to know your carpenters, and those guys are skilled. I mean, there's a level of skill that goes on with those finished carpenter guys, and again, I think that's a matter of caring more so than anything. I mean, you can't just be out there hanging base and casing. You've got to really.
They're artists,
right?
They're
Absolutely.
Craftsmen. The guys you have, honestly, I'm not just saying this. We were talking about this on the way up because we were talking about Jay. Not only are they great at what they do, but they're great communicators. Those are 2 important things. But Jimmy says I get so upset. We had a builder one time that kept calling them installers. I'm like, do not call them an installer. Right. That is an insult. That's not what they are. Yeah. I mean, they are artists. I mean, there's a lot to what they do. They have to have a design mind. They've got to, be a crafts. There's so much to it. You can't call them an installer.
Yeah. Carpenter is another word for artist, I think. And these guys are they're skilled. And people, I always think about trim carpenters and framers and people talking about needing labor. Like labor is a shortage in this industry. And I'm like, it's not labor, because I can go find anybody that's going to come and work here tomorrow for day wages. But you need skilled labor.
Yeah.
And with that skill, the skill is part of it, but the care and the passion and the understanding and just the want to do it is there. That's what you need.
Yeah.
You need somebody who really is desired to just get after this.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because on the inside of what we do when it comes to the moldings that we run, so we have 2 different manufacturers that we deal with, and we have gone to those plants and seen what they do. They build custom doors. They run things through. I mean, those people are just the same. We talk about, like what you were saying, where there's a shortage of people wanting to do trades for a while, and who's going to do this? You can't just hire any laborer to come in here and do that kind of important work. It's even before it gets to the job site, there are things that are built or made that have to be made right as well.
That's what worries me about our industry so much, and I grew up in this industry, so I understand it. I get it. You've got the market sets your price. I mean, that's the basis for what you're going to do, and how good you are could excel that price.
Right.
I mean, and good doesn't mean, we're the best. That doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't care. If you're telling me the best, then that's like somebody coming up to me going, I'm a good Christian. I'm like, well, you got to tell me, and you haven't shown me, then there's probably an issue there. But I think if you cannot be just out there doing whatever and thinking you're the greatest, you've got to prove it. You've got to pay attention to it. And I don't think that the regular person can understand what carpentry really means. You and I understand it, but I mean, I think about joints. I think about how the doors are hung. I think about all of these things that go into it that are really super important.
Literally, we were in the car on the way up, and I'm like, she goes, what do you think makes a good trim carpenter? I said, well, creativity, miter joints, the doors are hung plumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything's nice and tight. Yeah, exactly
There's
what
a
you
lot
just
to
said.
it.
We're on the same page.
The proper method of hanging a door.
Yeah.
I mean, where do these get that? That's worries the crap out of me, because how many guys might have learned how to set a door from a framing carpenter,
Right.
when we all used to set windows and we used to set doors back in the day
With
and
shims.
It was shims. I mean, that's all. And when I had a guy teach me, and he's like, just go up and level that 2x4 on the hinge side, nail that, and then we'll level everything else with shims. And I'm like, well, that seems like it's completely different than what I was ever taught. And I'm like, that seems like a good idea. Oh my God, I screwed that up 100 ways towards the weekend, when 6 months later. But yeah, that's an art, and that's a care. You can't, there's so many things that should take you a long time to set a door. And it shouldn't be like, let's just go in and set some doors.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a level of housing where you can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all.
Yeah.
The
For the
higher
level
you
that you're
get.
doing, you
Right.
can't do
Yeah,
that.
the level you're doing, everybody's got to be on their
on
their best
Yeah.
behavior, man. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have to have really good communication skills with us. I've always been got to get in good with the trim carpenters.
Yeah. So what are your feelings about, because when I'm thinking about these guys, there's another aspect to it, is for how the material is staged. And we think about acclimation for our materials for one, that's so important. I've had phone calls all week long with our customers understanding why we can't move forward with certain things because the moisture and humidity levels aren't where we need them to be. And they think that I'm just blowing smoke. I don't know what they expect, but that's a big thing. Meaning that the heating and air conditioning, temperatures and all in the indoor air quality has to be what it would be like if you were living there when the materials get delivered, and not just the day that they get delivered and then we start setting them. They have to acclimate and get in there and do some things. But that's so important. But then when you guys deliver the material, we want to try and get the doors in the house. That helps the carpenters. It gets them acclimated sooner than the trim and the baseboard and all that stuff. But it also, if you got those trim carpenters with the doors, with the base, with the casing, everything out in the garage, and now it's their responsibility to carry an 8-foot door, which probably weighs 200 and something pounds, all the way through those hallways, then now I might as well just tear all the drywall off and rebuild the place because it's going to get beat to crap. Then you got to worry about the doors getting beat up. You got to worry about the jamb getting beat. All of these things come into play, and then it falls back on you going, that's shitty material. That's what that's from. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's from it because it's been moved 19 times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you guys were doing these different things. So that's a perfect example. When you talk about spending more money, I'll go up I would say this to a ton of different people. How can I pay you more to get more? So I mean, if you're delivering outside trim, if you're delivering inside trim, if you're delivering this or this or this, does it cost $100 more to do that? Does it cost $50 more to get that into the house? Will you do it for free? I don't know. I'm just asking, but we're willing to pay, and you just got to tell us. Those are the small things that we want to know.
Right.
Interior trim and doors should go inside the house.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. I've always been like that. Don't ever put it in the garage.
Yeah.
Unless you can't get in the house, and then you make a phone call.
Yeah.
Because it's got to go inside.
But the
house.
doors we always want in the house, especially, even if you can't get the trim in. But, again, that is one of those details that one of the first things when we schedule a job, that's the first thing I ask. Where do you want the trim?
Yeah.
Because it's not just where we want to put it, but it's also what's your schedule? What do you have going on? But when you're just telling that story, it just takes me through every step of my worry for every job. We start out, we order everything, we put it into production. It goes through so many hands. And I always say that last hand, that delivery guy that's bringing it in, or even the people that are moving it around, there's so many ways that things could go wrong. We talk about like those white oak doors or white oak for a beam, things that took weeks to make. Somebody carrying it drops it. Oh my gosh, now we've got to have it all remade. There's so many little things to what we do that keep me up at night.
I'm the same way. But I think also inside trim carpenters worry about putting all that material in there because now it's in the way.
Yes.
And then they're going to step over it, and they're going to fall over it, and then they're kicking it over, and then they're falling out. So we're always trying to find a happy medium about staging the material.
Well, and the
properly.
saw's in the garage. They got to carry it out there. So why not just put it out in the garage to begin with? Yeah. So everybody's different. And that's, again, you got to communicate, find out what is right for each project.
It's different with every job.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
And I want these guys to pay attention. So things get damaged. There's no doubt about it. And if you think everything's going to go perfect from day one, that you're crazy. But But I think that you guys are selling it. The truck driver's delivering it. The inside trim guys are handling it. The painters are coming in and looking at it. And then I'm there as a supervisor, or whoever the supervisor is on the job should be looking at it. So when something gets put up and it's screwed up, I'm like, we are all should just beat the shit out of ourselves, because there was 7 of us that screwed this up.
Yes.
And it wasn't the trim carpenter, it wasn't the supplier, it was all of us. And we should have stopped and said, hey, and mainly the painters. I'm always telling the painters, I'm like, I know you guys want to get done, but if there's something wrong with it, we got to stop and look at it. And, and it's nobody's fault. I think it's just a matter. Or
fix it.
Fix it.
Right.
Please.
Say something. Put some wood putty on that chunk of wood that might be taken out. It'll, if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
If it's just a simple wood putty will work, then do that. If not, then replace it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny. It's not even just your own trade, though, because we talk about this too. When we go out and say we're measuring a house, and you notice that this door is swinging into the right, but the light switch is back. I mean, we look for those things just the same way that I'm sure the electrician, if you've got great subs, great suppliers, people that are constantly looking at, because it's all a domino, right? So if I notice, if I swing that door into the right, it's going to hit a light switch. I don't have the electric plan on me, but I bet you it's either in the wrong place or so. I'm going to stop. I'm going to send you a message. If I know the electrician, I'm going to talk to him. Those are the kinds of things. If every trade works together, how much smoother would the job go?
Oh, yeah, for sure. When you go through, so that's another thing, another aspect of what you do is you at the framing stage, you're coming out, you're walking the job, you're measuring the doors, we're double checking. That's something I had to learn to do a long time ago, is that you have to measure every door, width and height.
Yeah.
You got to double check the swing. I always wrote on the jam side the size of the door with an arrow, which way it was swinging. How do you guys do it?
We mark the hinge side.
Yeah.
And then and then basically you put your butt to butt. Yeah. And the left is the left, the right is the right. But I was always taught, and I've done it for 30 years, you always write the size and the swing on the hinge side.
Yeah, I do too.
And that,
but there's some people that do it the opposite.
I know, but it's confusing.
It makes me crazy.
My brother puts the line on a floor.
He does.
And I've got another builder that does that.
So he can see which way the doors swing.
When I went to the Kenwood house, he had beat us there. Because sometimes you all mark it first. We try. We like to be the first. But I'm like, who did that? I didn't realize it was Mike. But I'm like, they're doing those arrows on the wrong side. But I get, because there's also, when you do lock sets, which we don't do, we provide the hinges with the doors. We don't actually provide the, handling of the handles and knobs. But they figure the swings in the exact opposite of us. So
perfection is something that you guys have to pay attention to so much. Yeah. Perfection of materials. And you can't look at it like the painter will fix it or like somebody else will do something to it. And just paying attention to it. So one of the things I've noticed is the difference in materials leading up from a long time ago till today. And, back in the day, it was finger jointed pine, and that was baseboard and casing. Doors were hollow core, and when I say hollow core, I'm talking about like a 6-panel doors,
right? Yeah.
And then, I don't know when MDF was introduced, but it seemed like that was back in early 2000s, but it might have been before that, that we recognized it anyway. And then now we're dealing with solid core materials, because we're in that category of the type of houses that we're building. People, I think I'd be a little bit upset if I was building a $5 million house and we had MDF trim on it or something in there. But the solid doors and the solid oak doors, and so oak is something that the reason why point in my conversation, we used to use red oak all the time, and it was cheap and it was pretty popular. You could get it whenever you wanted, and we were staining it so dark it didn't matter. Right. Now everything that we do is white oak, because the stains are so much lighter and it's a lot more expensive.
Yes.
And so how does that come into play with what you guys do, the species of wood and the availability of materials and all those kind of things?
The flooring, I think, dictates those stained parts of the house, like the beam or the handrail, the treads.
Yeah.
If you know that floor is red oak, then that's what you should get.
Yep.
And all the flooring these days is pre-finished. You rarely ever see install sand and finish anymore. But those engineered floorings are usually some sort of hickory or white oak.
Yep.
Because it's cheap for them. It's cheaper for them to use that material. Now, when it comes to the interior trim boards, it's way more expensive because you're not just using a bunch of pieces and putting together like that. You're using one big long board. So that's why it's so expensive. But like you said, they're doing a natural stain on those because they love the look of that wood. It's like white oak is beautiful, and why cover it up?
Yeah.
But if you're going dark, like you said, it really doesn't matter.
And it lightens it up. Those are some trends that you see through the years where things used to be all the walled off rooms and then everything was so dark all the time. And I guess, I don't know what they felt like it was going to do, cover something up. But now everything is open and light.
Remember when every room was a different color?
Every room is a different color.
Remember the house we built? We had like a red kitchen, an orange dining room, a green bedroom. It was like the full rainbow.
Oh, yeah. My grandma's house had them. They had blue toilets with blue tile, blue tub, yellow toilet, yellow tile, yellow.
I think that's coming back.
Is it?
No.
Good Lord.
It's never coming back.
I hope not. I don't know. It might be pretty groovy. A friend of mine always said that you can do great things with small spaces. And I think there's nothing but more true than that. So when we look at a pantry, which is probably just as big as the kitchen these days anymore, but powder rooms are so much fun.
Powder rooms are great places to do exciting things in.
So what's some of the funkiest stuff you guys have ever done? Because I was thinking about, I was going to say, what's the most stages you've ever done in a crown, or like you're talking about the back
12.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Man.
Back before 2008,
it
was loaded up with crown. Every room.
Yeah.
I mean, that room either had a 4-piece or 3-piece crown up to the great room having 12 pieces.
Yeah. That's wicked.
I miss that. Those are good days, right?
I think that is room specific because like we were talking about, if it's going to be all stained, all oak, that has to be room specific. If it's the whole house, I think you're going to walk in there and get lost a little bit. And
we're all about accents, accent walls, stained beam in this room, maybe paint grade coffer in this room, that stuff. But I think accent walls.
Well, here's the thing, because we talk about trends and everything's cyclical, right? With fashion, with interior design, with anything. But when that cycle comes back around, like, the early 2000s, that time we were talking about, that was old world. Everything was heavier, right? Mm-hmm. Now everything's gone more to clean and light. And when that cycle comes back around, which I do believe it's coming back around, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be old world heavy, but it's going to be some kind of a happy medium between the two. And it's going to make it even better until it goes out. But, it's going to be a little bit of a marriage of both. You know, I think that keeping things clean doesn't have to be stark, but, warm doesn't have to be heavy. There has to be a way to make it comfortable and look good without. I always tell people when I meet with them, and again, I'm not the designer, but when people want my opinion, I tell people, if you don't have one theme you want to do, you don't have to. Actually using several different styles in your house will give it longevity because if you have, everything is stark or craftsman or whatever, and that was the trend that everybody in your neighborhood, in 2025 did, 10 years from now, everybody's going to go, oh, you built your house in 2025. It looks just like, Sam, Lou, Don, everybody else on your street. But if you fill it with a bunch of different styles and make it eclectic, it's really never going to go out of style. Yeah. And no one's going to pigeonhole you for when they don't know when you built it.
Right.
So
I think that just thinking about that, there's how much the designers put into the detail, what we work off of, and you guys know this too, you do the same thing, is inspiration pictures. Mm-hmm. And I love it when we have the opportunity to put something on House or Pinterest or whatever it is that we made. Yeah. And now it's the starter for somebody else's thought process or, inspiration picture. And I tell, I had a couple people work here one time and they're like, they want me to do this off of a picture. And I'm like, I do too. I mean, that's what it's for. Yeah. We don't have any dimensions on it. We just make it look like that. Yeah. That's what we're here for. That's what people expect us to do. I feel that way with our architect a lot of times. I'm like, let's give it to Mark. He'll take care of it.
Right. Yeah.
I think my whole family does that to Jeff. Just do that. Just give it to Jeff.
Well,
take care of it.
That's part of our job is to facilitate that.
Yeah.
To understand the vision. I mean, it doesn't have to be dead nuts on, but just to understand the vision.
As long as they understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it can be a blessing and a curse because I always tell people, do your homework before you come. Like, tell me what you like, what you don't. But at the same time, if you go on Pinterest or House and you find a staircase in Colorado that has, 16 open treads with no handrail, it's not going to pass code.
Right.
You can't have it. And then they get upset. It's like inspiration.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure we remember that's
and I
the
don't
word.
want to. I want to be. I think custom means that you're the originator, not the copier. And I don't want to be taking pictures and be going, well, yeah, we're going to go do that. And I see other builders do that around here with some of our stuff, and I'm like, man, that sucks to be you.
Right.
I mean, you weren't creative enough to do something on your own, but
we can be inspired by each other.
We want to
but
be inspired
you don't
by
need
each
to
other.
Copy.
Absolutely. But you think about these trends, and it's like, where did that start from? Where did that start from? And I always think about these designers who they have an eye for something. I don't know what I like or don't like until somebody presents something to me, and I'm like, man, I never looked at it like that. That's pretty cool. So I think inside trim is a lot like that for the ideas of what people can do with wood and just making that into something. So I was thinking about the difference between shiplap. Just the other day, we had this big discussion in our Humorama house, the difference between the V groove and the shiplap and the nickel gap and the shiplap being pushed all the way together. And to me, I mean, there's a huge difference about it. But is there that big of a difference? And it certainly made a difference to Bob and Ann, because they were Bob's like, hey, we wanted this V groove up there, and we wanted it, and this is what. And it really, I don't think it mattered, but it was what the drawing said on two different spots. And
well,
so
I think the drawing said tongue and groove. And it's like, hold on, that's a general term.
Yeah, that's how it fits
you got to
together.
be more specific.
Yeah, we could put OSB up there.
Right. Do you want nickel gap? Do you want V groove?
Yeah.
But you're right. Some people would look at that and just see that little gap and not pay attention to what it looks like inside of it. But I can tell from the couple of times that I've talked to Bob, he is detailed. And I appreciate that, though. You know what you want. Some people pay attention. Those little details mean the world. But again, that's their forever home. We've got to make sure that those things are right.
When did shiplap become? I mean, is it still a thing?
The games people.
Yeah.
That's the Texas Waco, whatever.
Chip and Joanna.
Listen, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I have my own opinion. I do not like shiplap. I'm sorry.
You don't like shiplap?
I don't. To me, listen, I watched that show like everybody else did, right? And all I could think about was the very first house we had. It had that 70s paneling in our family room. What'd you do? You painted it because it was too expensive to hide, right? But it was hideous. It was plastic. You put kills on it. You painted it. And it was beautiful again. Shiplap, that's what that was. That was a crap thing that people found behind the walls. That she made it into $1 billion business. Everybody went after it.
Only took us an hour, Jimmy. We got her coming out of her shell. Now we're ready to go. What else don't you like?
What the Kardashians did to having a big butt. You know what I mean? Like nobody wanted a big butt, and then all of a sudden, everybody's got to have a big butt. You can pay for a big butt. Where I'm like, I'm trying my best not to have a big butt. What? I mean, it's all marketing.
I built a house in 2010. It was a Frank Lloyd Wright design, so to speak.
Cool.
And it was shiplap, but it was all shiplap cedar on the outside of it, but it didn't have the gap. It was just pushed together all the way around.
That's
it.
cool.
And that was the first time I ever was introduced to it. But then from there, it started becoming with Chip and Joanna, and it started becoming more popular with that. I love it. I think it's really cool because you can do cool things with it. It's not just the white gap, because I have a lot of that in my house because we built it in 2019. But we did a bathroom in 2018 with this oak shiplap, and the guy that we had paint, it was just an unbelievable artist with it, and he put this like special stain on it, so it's got this black back to it and it's got a gray face to it, and it was just so cool. I mean, it was just unbelievable what he did. So the shiplap was part of it, the material and the gap, but the rest of it was really cool looking. And then we've done it in two ceilings where it was like an outside material where you could see all the knots. It was like a number 2 or 3 where you could see all the knots in it. Yeah, it was just, and it was rough. Great. You could see the grade into it, but where it tied together was a nickel gap, but you couldn't. That didn't make a difference at that point. But what you're talking about is like the 1x8, 1x6, and
just
it's
the same old.
The gaps to it.
It's just my own personal opinion. Listen, I
don't mind it. I don't like a whole house full of it.
Right. You can get carried away with it.
Yeah, unless it's like a man cave or something like that. I get that.
Yeah.
But I love it as an accent, like on the back of a cubby or maybe in a tray. A tray just in the tray and then crown on top of it. I think that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I even think it looks cool whether it's painted or whether it's stained, like knotty poplar or knotty pine. I think
a stained shiplap is something that people don't see a lot of, and if you break that out, people are going to be like, oh.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah.
And it's not
we'll get
expensive.
Corey to fall in love with it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it in one of these houses, and I'm gonna I'll keep bringing Corey out there. Like, do you like it now?
Yeah.
Do you like it now? Do you
No,
like it now?
still hate it. Still hate it. And I still don't want a big butt.
What's
Listen,
your? I want a butt. I mean, that's all I need, man. I'm getting older, and I keep tightening up my belt, but I keep gaining weight, and my belt gets smaller. That's weird, isn't it?
Butts are sliding down the back of our legs, right? I know. Look, Jimmy just turned 60 this year, so watch out. But he doesn't look it. That's all that matters.
You don't look it at all.
He's still got a good butt.
We get to look at you now. Now we're talking.
You can edit
now we're
this
talking. Yeah, it's like Sir Mix-a-Lot, who was not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, by the way, which
nor he
very
should be.
disappointing. Very disappointing. I thought he should be.
That's a one-hit wonder.
He would get a nod.
Yeah.
He is a one-hit wonder, but
With some really deep lyrics, right? What was he thinking?
Yeah, I remember. So I play that for my kids, and they just think it's like the first they think I'm a weirdo, but then you can see them like laugh and think it's funny. But you remember back in the day, we used to have these big boxes, these like 12-inch speakers in it.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I mean, that stuff would just thump, when we would play it. It was so much fun.
Roll the windows down and turn up your sub. And
That's
just
right.
start moving it.
No wonder none of us can hear anything now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everybody's like, is it hereditary? I'm like, no, it was a boom box that we had in a trunk that was like 19-inch speakers
Right.
in it.
We thought we were cool.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your favorite species of wood?
Oh, gosh. Jimmy, I'm going to let you answer that. You're
Well,
the wood expert.
It's not a piece of wood that you would use in a whole house, but there's a species of wood called purple heart,
Okay.
which I think is absolutely beautiful. It's a really hard, heavy wood.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. And then there's a zebra.
Yeah.
I was going to
wood.
say zebra. I think zebra is so cool.
I thought you were going to say curly maple.
I like curly maple.
Yeah.
I also like quarter sawn, either quarter sawn or rift sawn white oak. I think that's beautiful too.
Yeah. I do
Because
too.
it looks like the front of some of the Les Pauls.
Nice. That's cool. I'll have to show you this picture of one of the guitars I saw up there at the Hall of Fame. But I didn't realize until we were talking to those Mansion Hill guys the difference between a quarter sawn and how it has to do with where they cut it on the tree, right?
Well, the log, they're
Yeah.
taking a quarter out of the log. So basically it takes twice as much wood
Right.
to get that than it does just to get regular.
Yeah. I thought that they set the blade off of it a little bit so it was a little bit more rougher grain on it to get it like, a quarter, full, half. And the guy's like, no, that's not what it is. I'm like, see, you're learning something every day. I learned a ton have you ever been down there to their shop and talked to those guys at Mansion Hill, the hardwood guys?
No.
It has nothing to do with whatever you guys do, but it's wood.
Yeah.
And these dudes just start talking about all these different species of wood and how they look at it and the different stuff. I mean, it's
And they
kinda
get
cool.
excited
And
about
they're over
it.
in Kentucky. They're Kentucky people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys would get along.
Yeah. Oh, well, we only get along with people from Kentucky. Yeah. By the way, you always call yourself a hillbilly, but I was thinking about how this is going to come off because everybody up here, says I, and we've got our long eyes. Yeah.
Well, I think he's more hillbilly adjacent.
Yeah.
We're
Adjacent.
See, and you know
We're
how many people,
Hicks.
you know how many hillbillies get mad at me for calling myself a hillbilly? I go to church
how
with this
dare you.
guy, and he's from North Carolina, or he's from South Carolina. North Carolina. He's going to kill me when he finds out. I don't really, he's from the Carolinas.
You can edit that.
And he gets mad because I'm always like a hillbilly. He's like, you don't qualify
Yeah,
as a
you're from
hillbilly.
Ohio.
He's
You
like, you
can't.
didn't grow up in the hills, and
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe I've got some hill. He goes, no, you're a redneck, but you're
Yeah.
not a hillbilly.
There is a difference.
I'm like, well, as long as we're name calling and labeling people, I mean, good Lord. I always thought I was a hillbilly. And now I'm 52 years old and I'm realizing I'm not. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, we're Hicks. We'll say that.
Self-appointed hillbilly.
Yeah.
I'm an Ohio. Then maybe I should switch it. I'm an Ohio hillbilly. So
There you
what
go.
else? What else? What are we not talking? So what else have we talked about? I think we only covered inside trim like
I
a
know.
little bit, and we've talked a lot
Well,
about music.
Corey and I were talking on the way up here.
Because Leanne sent us a nice list of
Yeah.
topics.
We-
So
we were talking about things that people can do things that let's say the end of the job where people might wish they would have done
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I told Corey, I said, closets.
Yeah.
It's a big deal
built-ins, yeah.
because you can go anywhere from wire to getting a custom closet company to do it, or you can get the trim carpenter to build it. I think wood closets it's an upgrade, but I think that you will get your money back.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
people don't realize a trim carpenter can build that on site. And the cool thing is sometimes they can use a lot of what we call the off-fall pieces.
Man,
So
don't tell Leah that from California Closet.
All right,
She's
sorry.
probably on her way up here right now.
Well,
Whoop your butt.
Yeah, it's It's all about.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. You know, Leah was on from California Closets was on here last year, or it might have been this year, last year, and she makes a good point, just like you're saying. Hey, get involved early on those closets, especially in the architectural phase, because you want somebody. She's just like everybody else that we want, passionate about this stuff, man. I mean, she's been there for a long time and just dives in on it. But hey, what if we needed another inch in that closet to make this style work, or to do this kind of shelf, or do something? That's a great point. Closets are such a big deal.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
You know, closets, pantries.
Pantries.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, those pantries
are
today.
a big deal, right?
People are doing pantries now, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're spending as much money on that as they do a bedroom, and then they're putting like this really cool, thick white oak, you know, top on it instead of granite or marble or whatever.
Yeah.
It just really pops.
When people say, I want to put a glass door in my pantry, I'm like, you know, something opaque, right? And they're like, no, clear. I'm like, really? Like my pantry? I don't want anybody seeing in my pantry.
Well, it all depends on if you keep a clean pantry. Now, if you're spending the money that people are spending on their pantries these days, you might want to put glass on there to showcase it.
Yeah. Can you imagine you come home from the grocery store and you have to empty every box of cereal and baggage into a pretty bin? No. I mean, who has time for that? So, no, I have to have my pantry hidden. But
and they're doing Costco doors.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really cool.
I think it's one of the coolest inventions.
I think it is too. But the only time I've seen it really work well was down in Houston, where they build slab house or crawl spaces. You know, so when you pull into the garage, that wall might be 4 foot tall, so the subfloor is at like 4 feet high, and then the Costco door is right there, and then they slide everything in on the floor.
Right.
The Costco door now, you basically have to have a shelf, and it takes up a lot more real estate.
Somebody on the other side grab it from you.
You have to have somebody on the other side.
Again, planning out though. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Stair finish parts was another thing we were talking
we didn't talk about stairs. That's one of my favorite things.
And so you have a different. In fact, it is. So for people that don't know, we cover from Louisville up through Cincinnati, right? And in the Louisville market, most staircases are built on site, and we provide all the materials that do that: the treads, the risers, the Up here, you guys, most of you have a company that comes in and has the stairs, pops them in, but we provide what we call the finished parts to it. Yeah. The newel posts, the balusters, the handrail, those things. And it's funny, I feel strongly about stair parts because most staircases are right when you walk through the door. That is a wow factor, you know, even like your ceilings and your doors, but your stairs play a big role in the first impression in your house. And I always tell people you got to be careful, too, with your stair parts. Stair parts can date quickly if you get too trendy on your stair parts. When we built that house in the early 2000s, oh, my gosh, what I wanted was a big iron, you know, paneled, which we couldn't afford. But we did what we called those S-bars. Yeah. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because we had a catwalk. And I thought our house just looked like a castle. I see pictures like your Christmas picture from 2004. And I'm like, oh, my gosh.
And it was all over the post fittings.
Oh, yeah. It's so dated. And the walls are like mustard yellow. It's like,
going to come back.
I don't know.
If you ever take it apart, put it up in the attic because it'll come back.
Well, luckily we got out of that house pretty quickly, but I feel sorry for the people that inherited it. But those are parts though that you can do amazing things with, but I always tell people it depends on what your house is for. If this is, you know, your forever home and you don't care, you want what you want, then you get what you want. But you think about the return on investment, like how long are these going to be in style? I also tell people things like function, you know, like the staircase you have here, right? You have a horizontal system. When people ask me about that, the first thing I say, do you have small children?
Yeah.
Do you have grandchildren? Because those are people like to climb those things. Think about that.
They're monkey bars.
They are. And some people, they don't. I love the look of it. Awesome. It's beautiful. Let's do it. But there are just a lot of things to think about with trim. And again, when people ask us what I do, and, you know, we say we supply interior trim. What's that? And you're like, everything from your baseboard to crown molded, and they're like, "Oh, wow, never really." I always say we're a forgotten trade. We're in every room of your house.
That stuff showed up out there.
Yeah, but nobody really thinks about what it is. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I had a point to make there, and I can't remember what it was.
I'm sorry. I probably took you off.
No, it was along the lines of what you were talking about. But the stairwells are something that I just get so excited about. But it's because I think that the inside trim the stairwells, the stone, the brick, and all of those things that are happening is we're chasing history. We got to look back and understand where they originated from.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and there's nothing that drives me more crazy as you drive down the road and you see a house that's got stone that looks like somebody was like, let's put some stone over there, and it doesn't go down to a foundation. It's like on a gable
stick,
and it sticks to the wall, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then stairwells, I think a lot of times people think about stairs as like it's a need. You had to get to the second floor. It was 3 foot wide. It was in a neighborhood house, and it was stuck between walls, and if anything, stairs are the devil, because people don't want stairs. They don't want to climb up them. They had to go up and whatever. Now I think that they're one of the biggest artistic pieces that we do in our houses, and with the railings, it takes up. I mean, you think about how much room we've got in that Homerama house. It's got all the space in there. With the one up off of Swordsville, that's got a huge rounded staircase in it. The second or third, maybe fourth house I ever built had a round staircase in it, and they did it all. They built the stairs, but they did all the railings on site with that big moisture bag and all that, and they
do all the
flexed it and
rail,
bent it all out there. And
the sliced rail and everything.
Man, I think that was probably one of the things that made me want to continue to build custom houses for a long time. But then, my dad and my brother, those guys got busy with the production stuff, so we were doing that for a long time, and then hit the recession and gave us an opportunity to come back out and start building more custom stuff again. So that was probably one of the biggest things that really got me excited about doing those things. But that and just, all the other different details, the thoughts, and you can make it up, you can make it out of wood. When I moved back home from school, there was like the trim that we have in here, the 2-piece heads, and but the old house that we lived in down in Miamitown had 2x6s as the casing, and it was a rounded edge, not an eased edge, a round edge.
Wow.
It was real thick, and it stuck out, had plinth blocks on it, and just it looked, I mean, but if you look at it back then, you're like, oh my God, this is old. It probably had 9 inches of lead paint on it, and probably one of the reasons why I get a clicking sound in my jaw when I eat, probably, or something.
You weren't licking that, were you?
I don't might have. I don't know. There was some rough nights in that old place. We call it the Love Shack, but I mean, I think about those things. Those are really cool. You go into some of them old churches. You go into some of those hotels downtown, and I'm always, the first thing that pops in my mind is like, can you imagine what it would cost to do some of that stuff today?
We say the same thing, and it's always some gorgeous, rundown building in a bad part of town. But you look at it and you're like, my gosh, look at this stuff there. And no one appreciates it.
And all of that stuff back then was made on site.
Yeah,
made
by
on site.
hand.
Yeah. Those dudes were cutting it, and that's crazy.
Amazing.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Those are the forefather, craftsmen that we think about, in our business. So, like I said before, is when you're talking about custom, we're the originators, and I want people to come back and look at our houses 20 years, 30 years from now and be like, oh my God, did you see that?
Yeah.
Look how cool that is. It's still put together. It's still tight. Everything looks really good, and that's really, really important to me. You can't think about today. You got to think about a long, long time from now. So.
Well, and even like, say you build the house for the kids that are in it when they become adults, and they talk about, that house that we lived in, referring to
the house
yours.
I grew up in.
Yeah. I mean, we all talk about it. It's like, the house is the most important thing. It's part of everything, but they're talking about that cool staircase that they grew up with, that you came up with.
I literally just had a meeting with a young girl and her new husband, and I thought for sure they were going to be current with the design of their house.
Like real modern.
Everything she chose was what was in the house that she grew up in.
Yeah.
Aww.
She just loved it. And I didn't argue. I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That's what you get. And it was, but it's been a long time since I've had a customer come in like that. And she goes, I want everything that she pointed to. I was like, whoa. And in the door, whoa. I mean, it's not my thing anymore, but I totally get it, because, it's your house, you're living in it.
Yeah.
You should get what you want. But there are people out there who want it to look like where they grew up.
Right.
But how many home builders think like you? I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anybody look at what they do like you, though. I mean, to say, I look back at that architecture, those things, and I appreciate them. I hope that my, houses and projects stand like that. I think that's a huge testament to you. I mean, that's amazing that you feel that way about it. That shows how much you care.
I hope, I can only hope. And one of the things I always want to be transparent on this podcast. And if it leaks too many secrets, that's fine, because I want people, other builders, to learn and like, I'm putting myself on a pedestal, like I'm doing it the right way, but learn the passion, learn the right way to do it. I'm positive that in every industry you look in life, there's people just going and doing it. They're hustling it to get the money and they're moving on. It's a job.
Right.
We got other shit to do. Let's move on.
Right.
And for me, and oh my gosh, I said this at the Christmas party last year, and I thought my dad was going to have a heart attack because we still invite him to come to the Christmas party. And I say, making money is not the goal.
Yeah.
And it's the result. If you are doing everything that you could be doing, you're a top notch, you're taking care of your customers, you're doing a great job of everything that we're doing, we'll make money.
Right.
But leading up to that point, you have to do all those other things before you get to that point.
Yeah.
And you can't that's the difference between being a builder and owning a building company. If you're owning a building company, I'm looking at spreadsheets, I'm looking at numbers.
Right.
I've got to know my numbers. I've got to have all of that stuff in place for our customers. To be in business, you have to have all that stuff.
Yeah.
But our focus is building these custom houses. I've learned all that stuff by watching other people. So I hope that there's a ton of other builders out there who are doing these things.
Yeah.
But watching people, listening to people talk throughout the years, learning different things. You learn things from people that you would least expect to learn things
So
from.
true.
Man.
Whether it's something positive or negative. I mean, you learn what not to do.
Yeah.
You learn what to do.
And it might even be in a totally different field, but then you can relate it back to yours. Like it's a principle or just the way they pivoted with something where you're like, yeah, that would make sense if I did that. Have you ever done anything else? I mean, I know your dad did this, obviously, but did you have a different job growing up ever, or have you always just done building?
Well, I mean, one of the highlights of my career was when I was a chef at the Great Steak and Fry Company at Northgate Mall.
Way to go, buddy.
Kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal.
How was your acne then?
It was horrible, and I remember one night I came home and I went in and gave my check to my mom because she had my checking account, and it was like $78 or something like that, and I'm like, this sucks. I mean, but it was fun because the food court was like all in this square that was like you'd walk through Northgate Mall, and it was just off to the side. Now these food courts are like humongous if they even have one in a mall anymore. But so there was a Chinese restaurant, there was a yogurt factory, there was a pizza place, the Great Steak and Fry Company, and all of my friends, we all worked in there
it was
together.
Like Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I mean, we could have been paying them. Yeah, I mean, we could have been paying them to work there, and we wouldn't have known the difference. But no, I started working for my dad when I was in the 6th grade, and then I started working for the Home Builders Association for Home Rama, and me and my friends would go out and put the show together and take it apart.
That's great.
And then, I definitely believe in you have to get away from that and go work for other people to learn how other people handle things, to learn other businesses. We're farmers too. My wife and I are. And so I worked on different farms. I had to for internships. I worked out in Missouri on a farm. I worked on a farm up in Columbus, and then I did my construction internship up in Columbus.
Cool.
And then, I bounced around doing different things like that. But no, I've worked here.
Yeah.
I mean,
your focus
houses.
has stayed the same, which is really cool.
That's it. And it hasn't always stayed the same. I mean, there was times where I wanted to be a farmer. I mean, that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and I can see my kids doing that, looking at this stuff. But I came home one night, and the guy that actually plants we're cattle farmers, but the guy who plants our field, our friends or our neighbors, they got caught in the rain, so they parked their tractors like in our barn, and a couple of them were sticking out, and I was pulling down the driveway, and I'm like, that would make me happy if I could do that. But then I'm sitting there looking at it going, that's a $750,000 tractor. It's a $250,000 planter. And
that's a volatile business.
I mean, it's all that fuel. It's all that risk. And they depend on the same things as we do, as the weather and the government.
Yeah.
And if one of them gets upside down, we're screwed.
Right.
Economy.
And I'm like, it's the same. It's the same stress. It's crazy. So I'm like, that doesn't make me happy.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard because they want rain. You don't want rain. Like you can't be both. You're wishing for the.
I always say the same thing. I'm like, I never complain about the rain because I need it one way or the other. But no, I've always done this. I love it, and just you got to have the passion for it.
It shows that you love it.
I know.
Yeah.
When we came to your, it was the thing at the Butler
breakfast.
The breakfast, and we heard your speech. When we left there, and I'll back up by saying I don't know if you remember the first time we met you, but we remember it was at a networking event for the home builders. And we had it was a speed dating thing where we sat down and talked to you. And when you got up, because a lot of those you sit through and it's just kind of grueling. But when you got up, Jimmy said, yeah, I would hang out with him. He's a cool guy. I like that guy. I mean, really, just like we're talking now.
A makeshipt hillbilly. That's why he thought that it was
he could relate.
I mean, he might be a hillbilly.
Turns out
or
I'm
a redneck. He might be a redneck. But when we heard that speech, though, we literally left there.
I was inspired.
I had 3 dudes call me up and say the same thing. They're I'm going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to change what I'm doing.
Good.
It was such a great speech. It really, really was.
Thank you.
We were so inspired. But and it had every facet to it. It was funny. It was inspiring. It was meaningful. But it was, if you don't make it as a builder, I feel like you could, number one, do radio. You got a great voice for it. But you could be maybe a motivational speaker. I could. Know. Farmer,
like
motivational
Chris Farley.
speaker.
I could be a living in a van down by the river speaker. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate
with
that.
shiplap in it, though.
I'll put shiplap in my van, and Corey will never come visit me.
Replace the paneling with shiplap.
I was wondering how we met. Was that it? It was over at the Home Builders for that lunch and lunch.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
Damn, I thought we knew each other before that. But
because
it's been 3 years
when we
ago.
met you, we had already driven to Homerama.
Yeah.
And I remember you
Because he had
said
the black.
I went, hold on, you got the house with the blacks.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
right.
black.
We painted
the
that
coloring.
iron ore house down there.
Yeah.
But we also talked about, because that was right after Jimmy had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And we talked about, you told us about Mike. And so we had a great, for 15 minutes, we had such a great date.
That's right.
And then, so you
And
made
here
a
we are.
lasting expression. Now, we're all back together.
That's right. That's good. It's been a blessing because, the way people end up here, whether you do a great job or whatever, there's usually some kind of obstacle, something that has happened to lead us to get to this point.
Yeah.
And whether, I don't know, I wish it would have happened a long time ago, but since you guys have been here, things have changed for the better so much.
Well, that's so nice.
So much
I
better.
hope so.
But, I'll tell you that Alicia sets the pace a lot of times around here because she's a hustler.
She is amazing.
She gets after it, and if you're not keeping up with her, you're not going to be here very long. So when she's struggling with somebody to get answers, and I'm going to keep calling them somebody because you guys know who I'm talking about, but when she's struggling to get answers, the quality of the material is not very good. We're getting a bid for $50,000 and the bill is $80,000. There's something screwed up, and you got to start looking at it, and you can't keep going, well, this is who we use.
Yeah.
And then we had the opportunity to. I can't remember. Maybe it was when I left. I think we had 2 lunch and learns. I think I met you in 2021, and then we did one a couple years ago.
We did meet at 2 different events. I think one was the speed dating and one was something else. But
the 2021, I hadn't had a heart attack yet.
It was the 2022, I believe.
I thought it was might have been later than that because I came back and I said, here, call Corey. And then she called, and you guys talked. And
oh my God, I was so excited.
Naturally, she just
sent me a text.
This is it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so ever since then, it's been a
I feel that
blessing.
way about Alicia. When we've left, first time I met Alicia, I'm like, I'd be friends with her. I want to hang out with her.
You better be nice.
I want to go to her pool and drink
If you
beer.
don't keep up with her, you're not going to be here. I'm telling you that right now.
Everybody needs an Alicia in their life.
Well, I
don't let her listen to this.
I think she can hear us. She's right down the hallway.
Oh,
but
right.
I think Jimmy would probably say everybody needs a Corey in in their life because it's the same thing. But you guys are
with a volume button.
But you guys are here because you're passionate, because you're hard, because you do a great job, because you care, and then plus you supply us inside drum.
And we are so honored to be here and to be your trade partner. It really does mean the world to us.
It means the world to us. We need you guys, and our customers need you guys. This world needs us all. So thank you guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
This is Corey and Jimmy here on the WB Download. Well, all right, there you have it. That was Corey and Jimmy Vallandingham here on the WB Download. They are interior trim suppliers, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I love it when it takes a turn just getting away from talking about inside trim because I got to admit, when we were first talking about having them on here, I'm like, are we going to talk about inside trim for an hour? I don't know what we're going to talk about. But, of course, like all good people, like they are, we made a great show out of it, and I'm super impressed. Always been impressed with these guys and the job that they do. So thank you, Corey and Jimmy, for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Thanks for being on the team for Wheeling Builders. Thanks for doing an awesome job. Our customers love you. We love you, and we're excited about continuing to do the good work together. So thank you to everybody tuning in to the WB Download. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope that it inspires you, and I hope that you can see the good people that we are surrounded ourselves with here at Wheeland Builders, and it inspires you guys to do the same for your lives and for your companies. So don't forget to subscribe to the WB Download on your favorite podcast service. Don't forget that we drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, send me an email at wbdownload@wheelandbuilders.com, wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com, and check us out at wheelandbuilders.com for all the cool things we got going on, updates on pictures. Follow us on social media because Leanne does a great job of sharing things and seeing things that are happening out there on our jobs. So excited about moving into the fall. I said to Raina the other day after the county fair, or while we were at the county fair, I said, she goes, "Are you going to be glad when this is over?" I said, "Man, we got to get a Homerama house wrapped up. The show business is tough business." She kind of laughed and made a funny comment, and we moved on. So we are going to talk about Homerama as we lead through it through the next couple of weeks and understand what we have going on. And then you're going to hear and see about all these cool houses that we are closing all the way through October to see the end result of our hard work here for the last year or two that we got going on. So thanks again for everybody for tuning in here on the WB Download. I'm Jeff Wheeland.